You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 207 of East Central Canada's favorite podcast. Jeremiah Morrell here, joined by, I guess, producer Blake McKown, co-host Zach Burcham, racing analysts Forrest Plank, and I think for the fourth year in a row, Mike McKown, we've got you here. Is this the fourth Indy 500 we've done?
I think so.
Man, it's gone quick.
And I'm still caught off guard by Forrest Plank as a racing analyst.
Well, I mean,
wow.
You're in the analyst title chair. You get.
Whew. Yeah, you got the right gear on. Like, you know what you're talking about.
Zach, what are we going to do?
We're going to talk about 500, but first we're going to thank all the wonderful people of Patreon. Who, it's nice and cool in here. I don't know if anybody else has been outside.
It's adequately cool in here.
It's adequately cool in here. And if you've been outside the last couple of days,
70s.
It's been offensive outside the last couple of days. But for all the people that do Patreon, we thank you. But if you contribute $50 or more a month, we love you. And so we're going to thank all those great folks, which is Christy Avery, who's the kind of like the libertarian in the Boss Hog house mom. She is always been great to us. Yeah. And then
she made a random inspection of Henry County. She stopped by Montgomery's.
She waited for us to be out of town and then came through just like you unexpectedly and was like, yeah. And we have Jonathan Phillips, everybody's favorite used car salesman, new car sales, yes. GMCs, Chevys, probably, I don't know, Buicks. Andy Moore, Buick GMC. We got Anthony Meyer, who is keeping America running by hauling stuff around the country, which we need lots and lots more of because there's not enough supplies going around to keep everybody busy, apparently. And then we're going to thank the Fiddler's Green Mobile Cigar Lounge.
Sure. Cigar Lounge
Studio.
Chris Lamb and his awesome business. Multiple time guest on the program. Yeah.
Working on a future visit potentially. And then if you also want to find different ways to support us, buy the merch. So we have BHOL 1, 2, 3, 4 and mug. That's all the different t-shirts, hoodies, mugs. I think we still have the masks in case you're going out to the track.
You need them for another week or two.
Yeah, those are still relevant if you're going to Marion County.
And there's a Linktree link that,
I will drop the Linktree link. Thanks to Jesse Riddle in the chat right now. And
I believe you can just go to bosshogofliberty.com and all of the links are accessible from there as well. So
yeah, and check out the website though because it's a new website. It looks great.
I think we need to make a Racing Ain't for Quitters t-shirt.
Racing Ain't for Quitters. Is that just going to be for Dakota?
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. We'll have you workshop that one.
Yeah.
We'll have you get back to us by the end of the night on that one.
We'll get that.
This show is about our lives in rural Indiana, here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you, other times we'll make you laugh, and hopefully you'll always learn something new. Blake, this is like you're like interviewing for ESPN Quattro tonight as Boss Hog producer, and you're trying to work your way up to ESPN Trace. Is that accurate?
I would more refer to this as the Ocho.
The Ocho? We are the Ocho?
Yes.
All of the sports that nobody signed up for.
Pretty much, yeah.
We are a step below dodgeball.
Or head soccer ping pong. Have you seen that one?
No, not yet.
That's actually quite intense.
All right.
That sounds like ping pong. That sounds like a sport you don't have a lot of like 10-year veterans at.
No, they usually get concussions and have CTE and are done pretty soon.
They're out in no time at all. It is a special Tuesday episode because the Indianapolis 500 is coming up on Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, long weekend. Tomorrow's my last day. I'm working for the month of May because I'm heading back out to the track. Zach hasn't told me how early we're leaving. I don't know if I should prepare. My normal race day tradition was to get up about 3:30 in the morning to go to the racetrack. So now
it will not be 3:30 in the morning.
You have to tell me what time in the morning we're getting up to go get in the camper line.
Well, the beauty is on race day, you wake up and the cannon goes off.
Yeah.
Which is the beauty of the...
And shortly after that, I'm going to be knocking on your camper doors.
Go for it.
Listen, if my door's not open yet, just crack a beer. And when I get outside, I get outside.
Hey, I may not have the rigorous schedule I'm used to. What's for breakfast?
Well, I'm told that Uncle Bob makes Spanish eggs, but I don't know if we haven't been told what I'm supposed to bring yet. So.
I make the sissy eggs, and we also usually it's just eggs and smokies and whatever else we feel like fixing. But traditionally, we went from not camping to camping, but we still kept the same breakfast. At least I did. Some of the other people varied a little bit, but Spanish eggs are like eggs like salsa and stuff mixed in. But
with Rotella,
I just do eggs with cheese
by shell.
Yeah. I got some frozen eggs, so we'll see how those go. They've been in my freezer since the last race.
What?
I don't know where they came from. I'll have
like
regular eggs
whole
as well.
Eggs frozen, or
I don't know.
I'm disgusted.
I know. Well, they were given.
I am not eating your eggs.
They were given to me. It was a milk carton
Throw
of
the
eggs.
damn things away.
They're like 58 cents.
We'll see.
Frozen yolk just sounds.
Yeah,
awful.
we'll see. I'll have backup eggs. It wouldn't be the first time I fixed 2 rounds of eggs because I messed up the first round. We'll see. Live life adventurously.
I'm shook. I don't know how you.
I've never had them before.
Frozen milk and frozen bread are bad enough, but frozen eggs, I'm just like, I don't even know how to process that. Are you going to scramble them? Or are you going to?
Oh yeah, I just scramble them.
I'm now tempted to bring my own breakfast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're going to have to stop by the Jack's Donuts and bring them in.
I can bring some Jack's Donuts.
Yeah, that would be popular.
Come on, at least drive by Long's and tell me how long the line is on race morning at Long's Donuts.
We can't have Long's. Don't bring that.
It's the safest day to go to Long's because there's a police officer at every intersection on 16th Street.
There have been people shot at Long's.
Right. No, across the street at the gas station, not at Long's.
You can't go pee there. I've tried at the gas station.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's just always
inhospitable.
every time I go, there's a police officer there. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stay away from here.
I've never had well, first of all, there's always a police officer at the donut shop. Nobody's shocked at that joke.
They're across the street from the donut shop. And if you've been there, you'd understand why there needs to be a police officer. There's nothing to do with the donut shop.
Let me apologize to all my friends in law enforcement.
This is
he's at the gas station.
We are very friendly. This isn't the Casey's. We are a pro Jack's Donuts podcast, even though there's no financial exchange. All right, so I'm going to the race, and I'm expecting to have plenty of seats around me. 40% capacity, thanks to the rules of Marion County Health Department and Mayor Joe. I'm pretty sure that the section that we sat in this weekend for qualifying was over 40% capacity.
Oh, it was like 60%.
We were shooing people away.
So the 40% capacity, is that 40% within the sections, or is that 40% of the grandstands being utilized?
I think it's 40%
of the facilities,
grandstands. Yeah. When I was there this weekend, they still had a lot of banners up, but I don't think the banners normally come out until this week, because I think for the GP and for qualifying, they're usually advertising Verizon or NTT data or the race itself.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 40% of the facility capacity and not even including the, because 135,000 seems high for 40% of the grandstand seating.
I think
because the grandstand seating is down, but the facility capacity is about 350,000. I think that includes GA. So I'm not sure how they're doing that, though, because they were moving GA people into the grandstands.
Yeah.
Well, last weekend, because it was called the Flex, but I don't think they are moving. I mean, I don't think you even had the opportunity of a general admission for this.
No. I know the folks that I'm friends with that had pre-purchased general admission tickets got moved into Vistas. So I know some folks magically got $35 North Vista tickets this year. So
North Vista on the second or third row.
Yeah, maybe. But you know what? It's better than
on the steps.
They're going to see the track. They're going to see the track more than they would have from their pop-up canopy in the infield,
or know where the track is.
This might be the year they become actual race fans.
True.
So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. I look forward to all of you and your complete mask compliance to make certain that Mayor Joe is happy.
When I was out there Friday, I wore my mask 100% of the time that I was walking around.
That was kind of the vibe, honestly. If you're out and about and you're not holding a beer or a water or whatever, you're generally, if you're in a public area, people were masked. But once you got seated, it was you're in public space. You're socially distanced essentially, or you're at least at a point where you're comfortable.
Yep.
And you're outside.
Yep.
And you could not get into the pit or garage area without a vaccination card.
Correct. You had to show your papers.
Every day you got to show your papers. Get your wristbands. So yeah, that was the way it was. I noticed that from the GP weekend to last weekend in the stands, the compliance seemed to go way down. I don't think the announcement went over very well during the week. But yeah, for the most part,
between the GP and the
GP and the qualification weekend, yeah, I think there were.
Hogsett said because the CDC said, "Hey, outdoors, you don't need masks anymore," and the mayor of Indianapolis said, "Yeah, we're gonna agree on June 7th."
On June 7th. And so I don't think people were. I think some people thought there was a chance of some stuff, other stuff, get like the number being lifted. I don't think they're going to lift the number. I don't think the track. I mean,
I don't think they could have handled it.
No, I don't think they could because
the ticket department would.
The ticket department might riot and just burn the admin building down because.
Well, and the amount of yellow shirts they have versus normal.
Well, the staff
just convert the blue shirts over to yellow shirts.
Right.
It's true. They could. Yeah. Oh, you want those people to have a whistle and a gun?
Oh no.
I think the whistle might be more dangerous if we're being honest.
So I know that they manually had to reticket everybody and to say, magically, if today on Tuesday they said, you know what, 100% capacity is fine, masks go away.
Impossible.
It would be impossible to reticket the crowd because you'd have to move people, or it would just not work.
Or even say you're going to go to 75% capacity. Where are you going to find? People have already said they're not going to use their tickets, or you'd have to go through the entire process, which took like 2 to 3 weeks, and then it took even longer to get tickets out. To then have to do it all over. It wasn't going to happen.
And you have folks that would have to make travel arrangements that are coming from outside of the Indianapolis area. I did hear that Ed Carpenter, he made two statements on the JMV show on MS yesterday. One, he said he was really pissed about Joe Hogsett and his mask views as well. And two, he said that Bud Dinker had told him on Friday, so 4 days ago, that Bud Dinker is the number 2 guy in charge for Penske Entertainment, that they have about 3,000 tickets left to sell for the race. So if they're allowing 135,000 in, there are about 3,000 tickets being sold away from it actually being sold out, and then maybe you'd see it on NBC. So you're very close to actually having a true sellout.
Still anxious to see where those 135,000 people are going to be sitting.
Are you worried you have people near you?
I'm sure that I'll have people near me.
I mean, it sounds like they're going to have at least one seat between groups and then one row. I don't think you're going to have anybody sitting directly in front of you. It's going to be a really comfy air, about as comfortable as you're ever going to be at the 500 for people that are going, because you should have room for your cooler.
You should have room for your cooler, and it should be about 20 degrees cooler than most
75
other years.
High.
Yeah.
The one year I may not be in a fire suit.
You can sit with me and wear your fire suit, Mike, if it makes you feel good.
I don't think that's going to happen.
You'll probably see the winning pass in turn 3.
Yeah, I'm in the main straight.
I will say that it might be a time that you kind of want more people in the stands, because I sit very high up in a very large set of aluminum bleachers, and you really want people blocking the sun from hitting the bleachers and then coming back at you. But
that's why I'm in the shade.
I'll take it. I'm not in the shade, but the flyover goes over my head.
Yeah, but we talked about this on Friday, Forrest. Your tickets start with serial number 0005. Like your OG. They bought them directly from Tony Holman.
I think so.
you
got less than number 4,000.
You got stuff like from when Lee Wallard was racing.
Are you in a penthouse?
No, just because I've never upgraded. I'm still in A.
You go where? Yeah.
So here's the question I have for you, Forrest. Once you decide to upgrade, can you get like 8 seats in the penthouse, or are you only allowed? If you have 2, can you only keep 2? How does seniority work around this place?
So all I know is when I go to renew my tickets each year, and it shows me what options are available, every stand is available with my seniority.
Yeah, but you don't.
But I don't know how many, or if they're the first row or aisle seats or anything like that.
You want to know the best thing about the chat right now is that former producer Chris Guffey Staten thinks that you're Sean Rao. He says you're a good-looking public defender. So you've got you may have the Sean Rao profile or position. I don't know.
I'll tell you what I think it is, and Chris could comment on this. Is what is Mr. Rao's favorite hockey team, and what are their colors? Because I wonder if he thinks from the side profile
that he's wearing Black Hawk gear.
He's wearing, but it's orange. It's not red.
Forrest, explain your shirt.
I just had to explain it earlier to my wife.
If you need to have that shirt explained.
I understand what it is, but we are trying to educate people, Mike.
Okay.
I understand that it's a Kenny Brack shirt. Okay. I'm totally up to speed.
This shirt is the Gilmore tribute to AJ Foyt.
Yes.
When he drove the number 14.
He drove the number 14. Was he popular for that number?
I don't know. Was he? Probably not.
Absolutely.
It's the number he won every except for the first race, right? In 61, he won in the one car.
14, yeah.
In the Dean Van Line special, I would assume.
Which the number 1 isn't going to be as successful this year.
It might win.
Hey, it's the best Foyt car.
Second best.
That's
Foyt
saying
car.
a lot.
I think it's going to be the second best Foyt car when things are over. Sebastian Bourdais, I think, will still end up with the top 10. So yeah, you're in number 14, Gilmore, coyote orange, not papaya orange t-shirt.
Papaya.
I got my IMS Nike polo on.
Actually, the real reason I'm wearing this shirt is because it was on the $5 clearance last year at the end of season sale.
I love that sale.
That's I get
do you know where the clearance gift shop is at the track?
Next to the museum.
Yeah, next to the museum.
Really
I'd always visit at race morning. Is it going to be open this year?
Yes, it's been open all week.
Already been there.
If you wear a schmedium, they've got all sorts of stuff for
Do I look like I fit in a schmedium?
The only guy that fits a schmedium's Dakota, and he's out working.
I got the Vineyard Vines 50th anniversary Mario shirt at the discount store.
Very nice. And you haven't worn it to the track very much because I don't see any tenderloin mustard stains.
No, there are none.
Me in a white shirt do not last long. It doesn't go well. Gray is about all I can hope for. White, I'm not so sure. And then you've got a political shirt because it's a political show, Zachary.
Yeah, Robin Miller.
Anyone but Miller 2020.
Yep. I like Robin Miller.
The slogan is, I don't have any hobbies. I gamble. I go to races, and I'm an asshole. Paid for by This Week in IndyCar.
We have a lot in common. I don't gamble, though.
Well, if you can get into it. All right. Have you guys had an interaction with a mask ambassador yet? Mike, you've been out to the track a few times this month. We talked about that before.
A lot.
Have you hung out with the blue shirts? We got the yellow shirts, now we got the blue shirts.
No, I'm usually in the garage area or in a suite. When you're not actually working and you get to the suites for the first time in 35 years, it's a lot of fun, man. I had Grouper at Andretti's suite the other day. You know, I'm used to track dogs. So
thanks for the invite, guys.
Yeah.
Haven't been to a suite this year.
Really?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Forrest and I
have
just
your people call
out.
my people.
I waved at Jeremiah on Fast Friday, and he showed me his pit and garage pass with his name on it.
Zach rolled his eyes at me,
and I said, "Fancy," and just kept walking.
I tried to get you to come in the garage with me, and you're like, "Screw you! I need to go get a hot dog."
I just left the garage. I think I was hustling up to the E-Penthouse for lunch to eat my turkey sandwich.
I saw Jeremiah's Snapchat from hanging out in the pits on Friday. And from way up above turn 1, I zoomed in as far as I could and took a picture and said, "I see you." But I was not as privileged to be right behind the pits.
I really think that you and I were 4 feet apart several times on Friday.
And you completely ignored me.
I didn't see you until I saw your pictures.
You guys were right by me in the Grand Prix race because I kept seeing your posts and I was like, you
could have got some nice candid shots of us getting very excited for VK in his first win, but you didn't look for us.
Yeah.
You knew we were there and you chose to not, to shoot the cars instead of us.
I think I sent you something during that.
I'm very forgetful. Yeah, I think you probably did. I have a confession to make, Mike. I was probably drinking that day.
Really?
It's likely. It's likely that I was consuming something.
You know, I'm probably one of few other than the drivers that doesn't drink during races.
Well, Zach's in that club too.
Never drank.
Me? No.
It's a great spectating sport.
I can't say I never did, but I can say I haven't in a long time.
At the track, no matter what time it is, it's beer 30.
Yeah.
Time the alarm goes off, cannon goes off, beer 30.
I mean, it's sometimes you can start with some whiskey in your coffee, or a Bloody Mary.
Bloody Marys, yeah,
yeah,
that's a popular one in the campsites around me. So,
normally we talk about racing,
but I have not interacted with the mask ambassador. I see them all around. They don't really. I never saw them do anything or say anything to anybody.
Nope, they just walk.
They just walk around. They hold their sign.
They kind of act like the seatbelt lady, the seatbelt the TSA folks, or the your stewardess.
Yeah,
just telling you to buckle up. It's kind of. I've seen some gestures from them, and they have a flag, a paddle, like a ping pong paddle.
I want to buy one of those paddles because that's going to be a really good piece of memorabilia.
So funny story about that. First of all, if you want to interact with a mask ambassador, take your teenage daughter to the track and walk around, and they will point out every single mask ambassador who is wearing their mask incorrectly.
Good point.
I'll bet that.
We spent probably 20 minutes behind Ed Carpenter's pit on Friday, right next to a mask ambassador, holding a sign up the entire time. Every driver that came by, he just stuck his chest out, had him sign his blue shirt that Speedway gave him. 4 different team members walked by and asked him how much he would sell that sign for.
Wanting to buy the mask ambassador.
Wanting to buy the mask ambassador sign because this is the only year you'll see that at the 500.
Hopefully. Yeah. Now you've wished if this happens again.
It is not my fault.
It is entirely on Forrest Plank.
I'm going to write it down here.
Forrest will no longer get to play.
Forrest wished mask ambassadors on us permanently. It is the worst job. Like it's like the little Dutch boy with a finger in the dam. When you know the job is being eliminated, as soon as you take it, and you know that there's 135,000 people and 3,000 of them are going to be vigilant about wearing their masks and everybody else is going to give you the finger. It is the worst possible job to have out there.
That's probably why they don't say anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's some sanitation jobs that would be worse.
Yeah, those people just give up. I think they stop. After like 10:30 in the morning, they say, well, the hell with it.
I don't think they're not getting verbally abused. I have a hunch if a mask ambassador did their job the way that they were intended to do their job.
The way that somebody drew it up.
Yeah, the way that somebody drew it up, they would be getting verbally abused in a horrendous way. Because like some of the worst
stories. Mask inspector.
Yeah, some of the worst stories coming out of the pandemic were how like just normal people trying to do their job at like the front door of a grocery store early on were like verbally and at times like physically attacked over telling somebody to put a mask on. And it's still happening to people.
There was one, I think for the practice and qualifying day of the Grand Prix, which would have been the very first day that they allowed fans in the track in May. We were sitting in the penthouse up high, and it was a box with just the Burcham and Morrell families. There maybe were 8 or 10 of us in there. That was it. And I had a drink in my hand, and I wasn't wearing my mask. And somebody came up, looked in, and they were going to say something, and then they saw the drink in my hand. I kind of lifted it up because I was actually motioning to take a drink, and they left. They immediately walked away and said, the hell with it. They're drinking. It doesn't matter. They found the loophole. I can move on to another and bother somebody else. But that's the only time I've even come close to having somebody harass me.
Yeah, I talked to a friend, and he said he walked in with a beer, and the guy's like, I don't have a problem with you, but your kid needs to put a mask on. He's like, you have a beer in your hand. You're okay.
Yeah.
And so
I also heard stories about the ambassadors saying, yep, wear it until you get to me, and then once you're up in the stands, I'm not looking that far.
I just snacked incessantly. Jeremiah was concerned about me one day.
The first day, I thought I watched you eat a half pound of gummy bears.
It wasn't a half pound of gummy bears. I had like
gummy worms.
Yeah, they were gummy bears, but it wasn't a half pound of them. It was like
they had a little made in Colorado sticker, and I was just worried about your
no. I mean, that would have been fun getting down from the penthouse. Can you imagine going down the stairs off the back of the penthouse? They hang off the back of the grandstands. You're like 40 feet in the air. Or more, and then you'd imagine that. I bet the stairs feel like they're flying off the back of the grandstand. No, that would not be good.
This week, I climbed those stairs for the very first time.
We did it once.
That is not fun.
Somehow we overshot the last elevator, and we just said the hell with it, and we climbed it, and it was.
My wife doesn't go up. She went up, I think, but she'll find a way to get back to an elevator going down. And they're not. I mean, everything there is sturdy. It's not like you're going to like.
It's just
small track.
It's
a big climb, but those stairs are just hanging off the back of the grandstand. And so there is this feeling of, man, I hope these are sturdy, and everything is. But yeah, it's a climb up there. And then you get there and you have to go to ramp, and there's more stairs to actually get to your seats.
I think some sets of the stairs are a little better than others. Like down in E, it's a little sketchy. You get into B, some are good, some are bad. Then once you get up into paddock, like the ones right next to the elevator that stick way out. Yeah. No, the ones that stick out, I think they go up higher. I don't know. Just felt different.
At least they're a little more back and forth. They're not as too.
If you're listening while driving in your car, we encourage you at this time to pull up a map on your cell phone in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and match up grandstands so you have a concept of where we're at.
We're mostly talking about
just try to keep the car within lines.
Yeah.
A lot of the seats that we normally sit in, this has been an experimental year. Last year was in the fall of checking out different areas of the track. And this year there's been some reduction in where you can go. So we've spent a lot more time on the outside of the track than I ever have.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years since I've been to like the turn 3 grass mounds, and that where I would spend a lot of time with kids in the turn 3 grass mounds, and I have not.
Has it changed your opinion of the after you've been to the turn 1 experience where you kind of get a little kiddie jail playpen?
No, not. Yeah, I don't know. My wife would probably. Well, I don't know if we were able to camp for that stuff. We probably will keep doing that. But I just like going out there because a lot of times it's nice to get away from the concrete, and I don't mind walking all over. So it's not unusual for me to go end to end on the track a couple times in a day to get where I want to get. So,
I'm trying to figure out how to invent a fence filter. Because everywhere I am now,
you've got a fence in the way.
And they paint it black, and it's new, and it's thicker than normal. And yeah, so it stands out a little bit more. You had to take pictures like us, just peons.
He still sold multiples. He's doing okay.
I don't know that I'm to that level, but it's not what it used to be.
I get jealous every time I see somebody. One of the Colts players was hanging out with podcast veteran Joey Molinaro, and they had popped open the hole in the fence in a short shoot between 3 and 4, and this Colts player was standing right. And I can only imagine what that is like to be standing where the lens is almost over the wall, and they're coming by at Fast Friday just doing qual.
Was that when Kenny Moore was out there?
Yeah, Joey and Kenny.
I used to be on the slot with Uncle Jim. Jim Davidson back in the day, and those cars would go by you at 230 mile an hour.
Back in the day, they were only doing 195.
There was nothing. It was
back
awesome.
Before you had your 35-year pin.
The closest you can get to that is, and it's pretty close, is if you go in the short shoot between 1 and 2, there's like an odd catwalk kind of thing that's right up there, but they won't let you stand there for more than about 6 seconds before a yellow shirt's kind of ushering you away.
But it's a really cool
But it
place.
is an amazing place to be because they're swinging right out and then they dive into 2. But I can only imagine that with like the fence moved out of the way. But yeah, it is hard. Like I was trying to go around and get good pictures, and then the fencing's all been revamped and painted black, and it can be in the way. So
Joey did tell me he's been doing this series of drivers in cars eating donuts.
Yeah.
And he had Connor Daly on, he had Alex Rossi on last week, and James Hinchcliffe. And tomorrow it's supposed to be Rena's VK, so I encouraged him to try some Dutch strudel, whatever the hell those are called.
I watched the Hinchman; it was real good. I haven't got a chance to watch the Connor Daly one. I think the Connor one might feature Jack Stone.
It does,
really.
It does, yes. Yeah. Connor's very funny as always.
His tickets to the Pacer game are always right there by Lee, and
I actually messaged Lee 2 years ago whenever he sponsored him, because I was following them both on social media, and I saw them each posting pictures from the Pacers game, and I was like, I swear I messaged him. I was like, hey, you're sitting next to Connor Daly. You should talk to him and figure something out. And then that year they announced that, I think that they were there talking, and he announced that he was the personal sponsor that year. But like, I'd noticed that. I was like, what is this? And I could tell they were close to each other. So yeah, I've got pictures of the Jack's Donuts logo on the side of Connor's helmet when he was.
He was a big fan of the Jacks on there. He said he has diabetes, but he would eat donuts just for Zach, or just for Joey. And he was in the Tired of Pricks Chevrolet in the GP, which was fantastic. Did anybody get their vaccination out there? Their free T-shirt? Did you? Would you?
That's where I'm going to go for mine. For sure to get the T-shirt.
Well, I was going to say, Zach and I were talking about that when
I didn't get a free T-shirt with my vaccination.
I mean,
all I got was a button that says I'm vaccinated.
We just discussed
I got a sticker in Wayne County.
But the thought of getting your vaccination, you better get on track on a race weekend.
If you went in there like Fast Friday and we were planning on coming back for a fun weekend on the track, and you got vaccinated on Friday, you might just be late. You might fall off the stairs coming off of one of those penthouse levels because. And I'm assuming they're doing the one-shot J&J, but like my first vaccine kind of, my second shot, I ended up taking a day off of work because I was
I took a nap.
Yeah. I never slept.
I had to nurse Mike back to health after his second one.
Blake, are you you're old enough now? Are you going to do this thing?
Yeah, I'll get it. I mean, I'm not sure if Miami's going to require it, but I mean, I think there are like incentives for it.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of.
You're waiting to see the deal get sweeter.
Yes. IU is now making kids get vaccinated. My friends are all saying their opinions about that. But
if they bribe you to where you go like, hey, you get 18 credit hours, but you only take 15 if you get your vaccination, you're jumping in line.
I mean,
3 free credit hours if you get vaxxed.
I would take extra money on the food plan. That's this. You want to really sweeten it up for a kid? Like, hey,
buy me a pizza.
Yeah, if they give me a free T-shirt too, like
T-shirt, pizza,
I'll do just about anything.
There you go.
to be 18 again.
All right. I don't know if you can get your vaccination out there this weekend, but hell, there's 3,000 tickets left. So go buy a ticket and see if you get a free one. All right. Let's talk about racing. We talked about everything, but we've been dealing with pandemic and the event. And I didn't even mention the balloons. I got Brad Lowry yelled at me today because I posted a balloon.
Biodegradable.
Yeah. I'm trying to kill turtles or something by supporting balloons or being neutral about balloons. Anyway, I don't know if they're going to be there or not. I was reminded that the American Legion released balloons, even though the Speedway didn't last year. Top 30 cars were set on Saturday. It wasn't the 30 fastest cars in the race. Zach, were you personally offended?
I was so confused. I'm still confused. I was still messaging some of the people that we follow on social media, trying to wrap my head around how that worked. Because if people have followed the sport for a while, there was like in the stands, there was a lot of confusion and a lot of people that.
Well, the pylon went down. That didn't help.
Timing and scoring had trouble most of the day.
But during the confusing part, which would have been the very end of the day when Dalton Kellett's on the bubble and Will Power and Simona Di Silvestro are trying to bump in.
They had run the 31st and 32nd fastest times.
Yeah, and they were going for top 30. When to just quickly describe it because it gets so convoluted. There were two lines. One line was the slow line, and there was no risk to that line. The other line was the fast lane, and you had to withdraw your time to go into that line. And Dalton Kellett was in the slow line. He was in 30th, and then he saw a bum rush, and he saw Will Power, who's in a Penske, who conceivably could go roll into the garage and then come back out.
Unfortunately, it was a 94 Reynard Penske.
Yes, yeah. I mean, but in his brain and in his team's brain, he could disappear into the garage and come back out and get 2 miles an hour. Like, if there's a team that could find something, it would be him. So he sees him coming, so he jumps into the high risk line, says, I'm going to give up my time. And Will Power had just run and ran slower than Dalton's time. And so he goes out and tries to...
Will ran a 2:30 and Dalton had run a 2:30.
He ran like a 2:20, low 2:29 or something like that. And so Dalton pulls his time. And at which point, and I think that Jeremiah and I were talking to different people. Jeremiah, I believe, was keeping Dear Leader in the loop as what was going on.
I was giving a tour to Chris Spangle.
Yes.
He was on a date, and I was explaining the Speedway to him.
He came up to our penthouse box because we commandeered a section of grandstands.
We had the wall penthouse. It was great.
And we're like, oh, he just pulled his time. If he doesn't go faster,
he should be out of the race.
Or Rex.
Just like Jay Howard and Paul Tracy in 2010.
He just gave the 30th spot to Will Power. And when you looked at the pylon after he went out, Will Power's number 12 was on the 30th slot.
I wish I had a picture of that to prove that because I remember it that way.
I looked at it too. It was there.
Okay. I wish I had taken a picture of it.
But what I understood was even though his time was 0, he was still in the 30 hole.
But that was never explained in person at the track.
So that lane was not
as far as I know.
Yeah, I can tell you that in my ear in the scanner, Foyt knew that they still had the 30th hole.
But my issue was that the paying gate had no concept of it.
Right.
Yeah. And it didn't make, and I'll be honest, it doesn't make any sense. Because what they basically said though then was that what was the point of 2 lanes? Because the only thing that it changed is that in the one lane you didn't lose your spot at all, and the other lane
you lost your time
only to 30th. Because in theory you could only drop to 30th.
Correct. But had he put it in the wall, right? And the problem with this is the logic of the last few minutes. And the worst case scenario for the rules that they have played out, where Dalton Kellett ran a 2:28 and he was slower than every
moments
other car
after Will Power had run a 2:29.
Exactly.
Yes.
And because Power did it and it slotted him in at 31st, it was invisible and it didn't exist, which flies in the face of every bit of Speedway logic in the last 104 runnings that I'm aware of. For qualifying. Had I known the rules ahead of time, it would have made more sense. But when you're sitting there and you go, oh, so-and-so pulled his time, and in recent history, we remember the year where Sebastian Saavedra was on the bubble, went out and practiced. Not Saavedra. Yes, Sebastian Saavedra.
He was in the hospital.
Yeah, he practiced. He was in the Brian Herta Autosport car, crashed after already putting himself in the race, ends up in the hospital. He gets bumped by Paul Tracy. He gets bumped by a number of cars, but Paul Tracy and Jay Howard end up ahead of him. They each withdraw their times, try to requalify, and both end up slower. Saavedra is elevated to the race first time Brian Herta ever makes the race as a car owner. Juxtapose that to this year, where you've got the Foyt team
completely different.
That does it completely differently.
But that's not the first time that it's worked differently.
No, you
remember Lynn St. James, and we're going to keep the fastest 33 cars in, and that's not how we set this up. And Tony George put 35 cars.
You had the 25 and 8 rule. That's fine. That was a different era, but you didn't have a bump because of that.
Right.
You had some wishy-washy.
And I mean, honestly, I was rooting for Top Gun. They built a car in a garage in Brownsburg. They were underfunded. They probably weren't going to get there. Charlie Kimball was actually in a road course car because they tore up so much stuff at Texas. That car's probably not going to get in no matter what happened. I mean, I think it played out exactly how it should have played out.
The cars on the outside ultimately wound up being the cars that you would say were predictably going to be on the outside.
Correct.
Foyt had 4 cars there, and they had lost a tremendous amount of equipment on the last oval race, and they were going to run 4 cars. I guess the Hildebrand car was a brand new car. It had never run before. It was the Foyt team turned around the car that they ran for Charlie Kimball the weekend before at the AMR GP, and then Bourdais obviously is their number one guy, and Kellett is a full-timer. So the way that the pecking order worked out at Foyt made sense. And then, if you were going to pick somebody that was going to end up going home, you thought it was going to be
Simone was the best story of the month.
Simone Pagenaud or Simona de Silvestro?
Simona. That's probably the best story of the month.
For Autosport.
But it's probably not because it's Penske.
Very much Penske supported.
But the shocker is that how many people would have thought that 40% of the back row shootout was going to be Penske's.
Right. Penske affiliated.
Yeah, Penske affiliated or Penske. And it was like Roger Penske was in, I don't think he's been on a timing stand for his own team since he bought everything, but he was standing next to the timing stand for Peretta when the time ran out. He was staying there with the team when she made the race. But
so she made the race, and then the next thing that happened is we had the Fast 9 shootout.
Well, I need to back up.
Certainly.
Okay. The best thing that happened was Simona got out of the car and walked over and hugged Charlie Kimball that didn't make the race.
Yeah.
That was a class move. I was right in front of me. I mean, hats off to her. That usually doesn't happen because people are upset and tempers are flying. It was a neat thing to see. And kudos to those ladies that put it in the show.
I think that whole team story is kind of cool, especially once you start reading the backstory of some of the crew members and what they've gone through to get to where they are. A lot of them back January timeframe weren't even in auto racing.
Right.
And here they are putting a team in the greatest spectacle in sports.
And I know they do have some experience on the team too. I know Linda Conti, who owned a race team back in the early 2000s in the IRL era. She was Robbie McGee's car owner when he ran the Indy 500 in the Energizer car. I think she's a spotter for them as well. So even you've got some people that have racing ties that are historically been around. And Beth Peretta had attempted to start Grace Autosport maybe 4 years ago, somewhere in that range, with Catherine Legg to race. So it was great to see that team came through, and it sounds like they're going to try to run some more races more than just the Indy 500. Top Gun's also talked about it as well.
Yeah.
It's always a fear of, if a team doesn't make the 500, are they going to be able to come back?
They're going to go belly up.
Yeah. What's going to happen?
Okay, now we can go to Fast 9.
All right.
I just had to throw that in.
So in setting up the Fast 9, Zach has the opinion, I guess, that the qualifying draw was based upon the Fast Friday practice times.
Yes.
So Scott Dixon ran the fastest time in practice.
Yeah, and it was in Friday it's called, they get boost. It's a higher level just for qualifications. And so the whole day they are doing their best, and sometimes not very good job, to just you usually keep 2 to 3 cars on a track, maybe 4, but it'd be 1 or 2 warming up or cooling down, and then 2 as far away from them on the track as they can. So they'd be on opposite straightaways. And just randomly in the middle of the day, like 4 or 5 o'clock, I'm like, what's Dixon doing out here? And Dixon comes out, gets behind somebody, and drops a 233 and just blitzes the entire field. I'm like, what did he do that for? It was so pointless. And then at the get done,
they kept complaining that they couldn't get a clean lap.
They couldn't get a clean lap. But
But to your eye, he was getting a toe.
Anybody that's been around knows that what they were doing looked like sandbagging at Indianapolis at its very finest, which is teams would never get a 4-lap run. A lot of times they wouldn't even get a full run period. They would run segments. They would see how they did coming off 2, coming around off of 4, and then let off, and then track the other side of the track. But I was like, what is this about? And then they start talking as we're leaving, like, oh, yeah, we're going to do the draw, and it's an order of speed for the day.
But that doesn't mean that he gets the first pill.
So this is my thing. Is it
he still drew luckily, but he got the first pick.
He got a really lucky draw.
Well, was it like the New York Knicks and Patrick Ewing, where there was a frozen coin on the table?
You did look at the draw, and you were like, it's all the heavy hitters up front. But
he's the first guy to draw, and he draws number 1.
But did it matter? Because the next day he ran last, and he pistol
it was
the field both ways.
Preferred to time. Yeah. The preferred time.
The track got nasty.
He got the best possible time to go on both days.
Yeah,
great for him. He's the champ. He's the champ anyway. He's got 4 poles in the race, but he got to go early on Saturday at the coolest time, and he got to go last on Sunday, which was theoretically the coolest time.
Yeah.
With only
and
9
the cloud
cars.
cover came over.
Sure. The seas parted, and Scott Dixon was the Iceman and did his thing.
And I really thought Carpenter was going to get it. I thought the 2 Carpenter cars.
I want somebody to tell me what their special sauce is, what they're doing, because they transcend their engine manufacturer performance
all of the
by
cars,
a long shot.
All of the cars at the bottom end of the grid that were in the bottom 5 were Chevrolet engines.
It didn't,
7 of the 9 cars that were in the Fast 9 were Honda engines.
Except
the
for
only
Ed
2
Carpenter.
were the Ed Carpenter cars.
Yeah. I mean, like at one point during the back row shootout, they were interviewing Connor, and I forget whose garage he was in down there. Sage Karam, I think, maybe, or in his pit area. And he's like, yeah, I'm down here supporting them. Just want to see another Chevy get in. I was like, there's nothing but Chevys down here, Connor. There's no Hondas down here. Just walk around to everybody and shake everybody's hands because they're all Chevys.
Connor was, in some of the interviews he's done later, it sounds like he was very tight with the Top Gun guys, because I think he was a teammate with R.C. Enerson when they were at Coyne, and they have some friendships there. But I think Connor also said this week in an interview that Enerson was completely trimmed out as much as they could with the Top Gun car as well.
Yeah, I think I heard him say that he couldn't. He said if they trimmed out any more, they'd take the wings off completely. And if you've ever seen it in any car when they're trimmed out, the rear wing will be aimed up. It'll be providing lift to counteract that, because most of the downforce comes off the floor.
So Rick Mears is number 1 all time in poles in the Indy 500, and the next name down on the list now is Scott Dixon. He's done it in 4 different, we'll quote unquote call it eras for the Indy 500. He did it when he won from the pole in 2008, so it was the IR03 G-Force Dallara era, and then when we went to the DW12, he's won the pole in all 3 eras. The very first body kits, he won it in the Honda body kit with the little dove wing on the back and the straight spline, and now this current version.
I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to be put in the same category with AJ and Mario and Rick Mears and the greats. He just does it so silently. I mean, he's just a smooth dude.
He should have won. I mean, he dominated the race last year, and everybody after the last pit stop, Sato passed him, and you thought he was going to pass him right back, and he never could. Sato gapped him.
Yeah,
but Dixon was the heavy favorite going into the 500 last year.
Right.
But as good as he is, as clean as he's kept his nose throughout his career, I still just don't like him.
Really?
I'm not a fan.
I
never have been.
Yeah.
What's he do wrong? Is he not exciting enough?
Absolutely not.
I mean, you're wearing an orange shirt. It could be confused as a Dixon shirt. If you just peel that 4 off, be the champ's number.
You know, I never rooted for him because he was a Ganassi guy, and I was always an Andretti guy. But I can tell you, the last few years, a good friend of mine and a sponsor at Indy, Rico Elmore and Fatheads, has a podcast, and Blake and I have been invited to it several times, and Dixie was on there. He's a genuine guy. He's really pretty cool, and his wife's hot.
He's the same on camera as he is off camera, which is what I look for when rooting for people.
Seems like just he puts in the work, right? It's not like, it doesn't seem effortless. He's not.
If you follow him on social media, he's doing triathlons. there's a generation that's trying to come up, Colton Hurd, all these guys, and they're like, oh yeah, us young guns are, and like, well, Scott, good luck beating Scott Dixon though. He's like, and he does it in everything he does.
Scott Dixon goes to Pit Fit, and you'll look at the Instagram over there.
Oh, it's incredible.
And he's at the top of the board.
And to be like, oh, somebody beat him on the rowing machine, so he'll go back in just to set a new record in the place.
Yeah, and the whack-a-mole light thing is incredible.
And he's doing it at 40 years old against guys he's on the front row, and his age is equal with the two guys that are on the front row with him. It's 20, 21, and he's going to be 41 in July. Right, Renus VK, Colton Herta, and Scott Dixon are the front row, and Dixon is 2 months away from being 41 years old.
The younger McKown is the Colton Herta aficionado.
Indeed.
Are you
Colton is my man.
Are you a big Gainbridge guy now? What's Gainbridge do?
Well, ever since they kicked Zach Veach out of the car, I will support Gainbridge until I die. Not a Zach Veach guy, let me tell you. He's a rat.
He's been a fine sports car driver. I think he podiumed at Mid-Ohio in the Lexus.
Who cares?
He's doing all right. I like Zach Veach.
Zach Veach lives in a van.
Guy. Yeah,
he's built. He's
not at all
3'8" tall.
Exactly. Looks like a rat. Drives like
he looks like he's 12. If you ever see Zach Veach, he's tiny. He looks 12.
Like he crawled out from underneath.
Blake,
he looks like a hobbit.
Blake, I'm going to give you some homework.
Good
okay.
Right.
I want you to go look up Dinner with Racers podcast and listen to the 2 Zach Veach episodes. The first episode, he talks about how he accidentally got his girlfriend stabbed by a stingray at Long Beach.
Exhibit B for him being a rat.
And then they did a follow-up interview post-pandemic, and it sounds like a country song. He's recently singled, by the way.
I don't care.
I think you'll enjoy the podcast.
Colton forever, right?
Yeah, Colton's my dude.
All right, so you mentioned the front row. Like 45% of all winners have come out of the front row. Who is it this year?
I think it's Dixon.
Experience says it's going to be Dixon because it's a 500-mile race. VK is so fast, but 200 laps of him keeping it all together, and I don't know. Cooler weather should help. The car should handle better. Colton, he's
smart beyond his years.
I don't know if Colton's quite there. I wouldn't count him out, but then you've got Ed Carpenter's right behind.
Yeah, I think
Scott to start,
this is one of Ed's most solid chances to win the race. I feel like he's got a very legitimate opportunity. If a Chevy's going to win, I think Ed is going to be the best chance for Chevrolet. But I would say that something has to happen to Dixon for him. He either has to have a bad pit stop, get in trouble, something, and yellow has to shake him out and end up back in traffic. If it's a mundane race, I think Scott Dixon's going to lead 100 laps and win the race.
What I do is I watch how people handle their cars. And there is Dixon, there is Carpenter, and there is Elio Castroneves.
Yeah.
And those are the 3 smoothest cars out there.
And I would say that I would also include some of the other Ganassis as a possibility. I think Tony Kanaan is in the best situation he's been in
ever
in many years.
Tony Kanaan has nothing to lose with this race.
In 2015, Kanaan was a top 4 car when he was in the Ganassi car, and I think it was Montoya and Power that led, and Dixon, and basically the 2 Penske's and 2 Ganassis pretty much dominated 2015. Kanaan was up there. I think he's in a similar situation now. I've really taken a liking to Alex Palou. He doesn't have a lot of experience, and he crashed last year, but he could very well be a top 5 car.
Where did he crash at last year? Where I should have been.
He's still.
I remember somebody getting really mad when that happened.
Did every crash happen at the north end of the track off turn 4 last year, Mike?
That one did, I'll assure you. I cried, real tears.
Like, this man will not, sorry, dude, sucks, but got to get over it.
Won't let it go. Well, he crashed off turn 2 in folk qualifying on Saturday.
So about 5 minutes after I had left Rico's suite.
So last year, since none of us got to go into the track, I got to stand out on 16th Street behind Mike. And I didn't even have to be looking at the board to know where a wreck occurred before I heard Mike yelling obsessively with his hands in the air, "There's more money out of my pocket."
When was Pigot's wreck in the attenuator? Was that last year?
Yeah.
Right in front. That was right in front of you. That was we just.
God, you would have made $500,000 on that one.
Yeah.
I doubt that.
Because we looked that up. We were trying to, because we were mixing up what wrecks were where.
Askew and Piggott. I was very confused as to which one was who was which.
And you're mixed up the one that was Askew and Daly.
Yes.
And then Piggott's was kind of by himself. And that was
Piggott ended the race.
Yeah, that was a horrendous accident. Anytime they hit the attenuators at the end of the pit wall, anytime a car hits that, it's just not good.
It was legendary. I mean, it wasn't quite Mark Dismore or Billy Boat, but it was a good hit.
It essentially ended his
I'm looking at the top 10.
Let's push pause on it
for the starts. You got Dixon in there. How many starts does he have at Indy? Probably
20.
And so it's the same for Ed. I'm assuming it's probably pretty close to that. Kanan's got 20 or 21. Elio Castroneves probably
Elio's got the most starts.
This is his 21st start. And then Ryan Hunter-Reay's in there quietly in 7th. And then if you need somebody that's hungry just outside the Fast Nines, Alexander Rossi, who has just been haunted since 2016 by not being able to repeat. So if Andretti can pull it together a little bit on their pacing, but they had something because obviously Colton's like almost, I don't consider him an Andretti guy. He'll outdrive the entire team.
None of us have said Graham Ray Hall or Takuma Sato.
It's because Graham Ray Hall is also in the same category as Zach Veach.
You know what?
They're on other ends of the height spectrum.
Don't you attack Graham Ray Hall. I'm not a super fan of his, but he brought a McLaren F1 to Indianapolis so I could look at it, and I appreciate Graham for that. He's bringing high quality automobiles for me to go look at Cars and Coffee.
I saw it in Mid-Ohio.
Well, he'll be, but they'll just be there. I know Jeremiah just goes to racetracks and finds one of 28.
I go to racetracks, let myself in, and there happen to be testing a couple $1 million McLaren.
Yeah, that they're restoring.
But I looked at it and said, man, that's a cool BMW. It's got Nelson Piquet's name on it and Danny Sullivan's. I'm going to take a picture. Zach looks at it and strokes out.
Yeah, I mean, Graham's got a pretty good shot, but somehow Sato is just so good there. And you don't think about him because you won't think about him until about 195 when he's just like this.
When he's third.
He's third. You don't know how he got there.
Well, you don't think about him until lap 195 because he's third or he's taking the third place car out. Because he's trying to run over.
No attack, no chance. That's his motto. That's how he rolls.
I mean, he is like 2 moves away from being a 5-time Indy 500 champion.
Yeah. Very close.
It's comical how
we're being a dead man.
Wait, well,
hey, he's in his 40s. Nobody knows how old he is. He could be 55 for all we know. You know, I think he is like 45 or 46 or something like that. And he's older than everybody thinks he is, but
he's probably Kanan's age.
He does his own thing. Yeah, those 3, Kanan, Dixon, and Ed Carpenter, those 3 are, I wouldn't put it past him because they have the experience and
you have to
put
there. Elio in that category.
Yeah, I picked him to be on the pole.
I would be.
He was my dark horse for the pole.
So you have seen some veteran guys win with some of the very small teams, and Meyershank is not that small, but they are on the expanding side. They're growing. The Meyershank folks will be very careful to say that they're getting Andretti support, Andretti engineering support, but they don't work out of the Andretti building. They have their own building in Columbus, Ohio, where they prepare their cars, they house their cars, they do the work on their cars.
They eat under the Andretti tent.
And I think that they would have been. I don't think it would have been a stretch for them to have both of their cars in the Fast 9 had Jack Harvey not gone out and gotten a blister the size of a basketball on his tire.
4 good fires.
Well, that has to be set up.
No, I don't think it was because it didn't happen the second time, and I don't think they took him back to the garage to change anything. It was and I saw somebody ask on Twitter what happened here, and they said that, you know, and it wasn't anybody that worked for Firestone. They said once in a while there's a bad tire. If anybody saw the picture, he had a blister on his tire that was literally it was more than half the width of the tire, and it was showing cords.
The tire looked like somebody had flat spotted it and then run another 30 laps on it.
Yeah, right. and it
looked like it was a used tire and not a new sticker tire.
It had 3 laps on it, or 4. By the time
but anyway, I was going to say that you saw Dan Weldon won for Brian Herta Autosport.
Great victory.
You saw KV Racing win with Tony Kanaan.
We got to back up. Dan Weldon didn't win with Brian Herta. J.R. Hildebrand lost.
Either way.
That's spotter.
That's spotter.
That's spotter.
Yeah, watch out for that wall right there.
Thanks, Max.
Well, he was also trying to pedal it. He thought he was out of fuel. Yeah. So he was. I think Hildebrand, looking back on that accident in 2011, he was concerned that if he breathed the throttle, he was going to run out of fuel and he wasn't going to make it around.
And where was that accident?
Turn 4.
In front of me.
Yeah. That was the other funny thing about the alignment in the current Indy 500 is that Charlie Kimball, who caused that accident for Hildebrand, and Hildebrand were teammates at Voigt this year. But then you saw Tony Kanaan, veteran, also get another win, get his only Indy 500 win so far for KV, for Jimmy Vassar's team. So very possible that Meyer-Shank joins the ranks there. It would be their first win as an IndyCar team.
And wouldn't it be great for Leo that loses his ride with Penske to come back and win it with a subpar team?
On Penske's track?
On Penske's track.
It'd be a great payday for you.
Yeah, it'll be really good. 50-1. Yeah.
If Simona wins, I put $5 on her, and I think I'm going to win $1,500. Let's see what happens.
But the way the qualifications were, it's a very bizarre field because it's cream very much risen to the top at the front of the field, and then there's a bunch that fell to the back of the field, and then a lot of the people that you thought were going to be at the back of the field are in the middle and not where you expect them. Like Pietro Fittipaldi, I think is like 13th, and there. J.R. Hildebrand, which people probably didn't give him much of a shot, is right there in the middle. So it's kind of a weird thing.
Santino Ferrucci.
Ferrucci's very good. He's finished in the top 10 both races he's had, but he put it in the wall this week. And I thought that was going to seriously hurt his chances of having a good qualifying run or a good finish. But the team recovered really well in putting that. And
together. Max Chilton's not in the back row.
No, he did all right.
Front to back this year, what's the speed difference?
The closest in history.
3 miles an hour, I think. 231 and change to 228 and change.
I know the front row is like 3 100ths?
Yeah. It's the fastest field in the history again. It's been like 7 years since they've had the fastest field, but it's the fastest field. I think the average speed is over 230 miles an hour as well, which is getting close. I mean, the average speed of the race of the field is over 230, and the fastest qualifying average ever is 237 for Ari in 96.
Who lost his ring?
And
he found it. He found it. Same day. It wasn't a prank. And then if anybody else follows on social media, Scott McLaughlin. You know, talk about losing something. Scott McLaughlin lost the keys. He's a Penske driver, driving the Yellow Submarine, taking Elio's old ride. Lost his keys to his truck like 4 days ago. I was like, anybody sees he left him in his golf cart. I was like, rookie move. And he thought somebody stole him. So he has his truck flatbedded out, gets a new set of keys, finds the old keys under his bus after he's gone to the effort of getting his truck rekeyed.
Sure, that's not a prank?
It sure sounds like a prank to me. It was a very covert prank, and maybe they saw something in him that they were afraid of them finding out what had happened.
I think that only happens in the Andretti and Ganassi camp.
Was it Connor Daly that they came out and wrapped his car hot pink?
That was Sage Karam.
Oh,
Sage they never said they didn't like Sage when he was at Chip Ganassi, but they sure didn't treat him like they liked him. Yeah, they wrapped his car in pink.
Alexander Rossi had his wheels taken off of his golf cart, I believe, by Colton Herta and Connor Daly last year.
And stacked up nicely, and the wheels were stacked up on top of his motorhome.
And then there was a prank on Connor Daly in recent years where his rented motorhome was filled with glitter balloons
and cups of water. And it was rented from
the best one was
Greg Biffle.
The best one was Tony Kanaan sending one of every pair of Dan Weldon's shoes back to England.
From Japan. Yeah. There's a second part of that prank that he doesn't tell that often. So look for Tony Kanaan interviews and get the other half of that prank. I won't say it on here. It's not particularly nice. It's worse than the shoe thing. But that was the only half of that prank. But yeah, there's some good pranks that go on with.
There's also talk of a live TV show with a bicycle getting sawn on half. I believe Dario Franchitti Dario Franchitti and Kanaan had one of them cut a bike in half while one of them was
doing an interview on television,
and so couldn't do anything about it and had to sit there and watch it happen. And
it was like a $5,000 carbon fiber bike or something. Like it was not like little. I was like, just the ability to prank somebody with a prank that is a 4-figure prank, like any figure. Like I would be upset if they cut like my bike in half. I have a bike I've had since 5th grade. It's from
I throw a cup of cold water on Blake in the shower. I don't do a $5,000.
They cut it. Yeah, they cut his bike while he was doing an interview on television.
These guys are so savage to each other that I shared on Twitter today. Once again, a clip from Dinner with Racers. Franchitti and Dixon both did that show and were explaining the Taco Bell holdup. And Franchitti truly thought that it was some sort of an elaborate prank by Tony Kanaan
until the gun
was out. He thought they were getting pranked.
Is that 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
It's not a Taco Bell anymore.
Last time Dixon was on pole.
I think it was
2017.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
That Taco Bell's is not there anymore. It's a burger joint. But yeah, every time I drive by, I'm like, oh, that's where the holdup was.
So the last couple of years, we've had these brutally hot. We had an Indy 500 in August 23rd, which is terrible. And the year before that was very warm with these body kits. And you could pass for first and second, but that was about it. We're expecting some cooler temperatures. Are we going to see a good race where cars can actually pass and somebody like Pagano or Power can get through the field? Or is this going to be, you need to be starting in the top 3 or 4 rows to win the race?
We're going to find out, because that's what they've said the last couple of years. Like, well, it's just been too hot. It's just been too hot. Where you're about to get a 75-degree and sunny race day.
You do not get better weather.
No, the forecast for the weekend looks amazing. And so unless it changes, and it's still Tuesday, so there's time.
In 1990, I had less than 60-degree day, and I went through 17 rolls of film because people kept bouncing off the wall in turn 4.
90 or 92? It
was 92.
Yeah.
Blake,
what were you doing?
I wasn't even thought of yet.
That was the last year that I did not go to the race.
Yeah.
I was a 9-year little boy camping at Lake Meacham in the Adirondacks because I was, barely thought of Blake.
We had Lion Dyke hit. We had Mario hit.
Jeff
Andretti ruined his feet. It just kept happening and happening. And I ran out of film and sent somebody with $50 to the concession stand or the trailer to buy regular old.
Shift over to your mic just a touch for me. There you go.
Regular old film because I ran out of film that day.
Where were you set up?
I was in 4.
Too bad you weren't in 2 to see Roberto Guerrero lose it on the pace lap.
Yeah, I actually worked for them that year. That was a bad move. Kenny Bernstein was a great guy.
King Racing?
Yeah. Roberto never came around.
There's a couple of guys that just came up on a podcast. They were talking about how he doesn't come around because that's all he gets asked about. He just gets.
Well, how would you like to be J.R. Hildebrand? He comes back every year.
I'll tell you what. J.R. Hildebrand is a righteous guy. I like J.R. Hildebrand. He drove a 1960 Cadillac from Colorado to Indianapolis for the race, and he threw his mountain bike on the roof of it and went mountain biking in Brown County today or yesterday. J.R. Hildebrand handled that whole thing so well at the time. He still get asked about it. He said, I've moved on, and he did. And he's a smart guy. When he's not racing, he's like
an engineer.
Does work with MIT and is going around doing I think a guy who's really pushing the whole STEM education thing.
He's got a good life.
He's got a good life. Married, he has a funky, eclectic thing of cars and just does his own thing.
And stops Blake and talks baseball every time.
Yeah, he had a San Francisco Giants hat on a few years ago, and we had a nice 10-minute conversation about why the Giants sucked.
I think he threw a first pitch out.
He's thrown a first pitch out there.
I think so, yeah. A few times.
He's a Sausalito, California guy, so right across from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Next level producer stuff over there, Blake, is going to be to teach you how to do get some music for me. We'll have you play Sausalito Summer Nights or something.
But yeah, I like J.R. Hildebrand, and he got a couple full-time rides after that, but he kept coming back. Well, he had to. It was his rookie year. So it was either going to be a one and done, but I think he won a lot of people's respect because he kept his foot in it after he hit the wall.
Yeah, he still finished, what, third,
second?
He was second.
It was second?
Yeah, second, and he got a car. I think his John Barnes gave him a Chevelle, like a 66 Chevelle, for how he handled everything, and so, yeah, he came out of that okay. Yeah, as okay as you can be with, better than Marco. He handles it better than Marco.
All right, I want a favorite and a long shot from everybody in the room. We'll start with Forrest. We generally work from right to left. So in a favorite, I mean, we could check some FanDuel or DraftKings numbers if we want to, but I would say somebody starting in the front 11 spots.
So for me, I'm going to go just because I like the guy TK.
Yep. Yeah. You got a long shot?
Yeah, there's so many long shots. Because I want to see a mullet on the Borg Warner. CD.
Connor Daly.
That's one of those guys that you thought was going to be a lot farther up the row and didn't qualify that.
But he owned it. He said
he would screw up his downforce levels. Yep.
The team wanted to trim more, and he was not comfortable with it, essentially. Yep. Blake, what do you got? You going to go Colton Herta and Zach Veach?
Colton Herta, for sure. Yeah, he's going to be my favorite. And then as my dark horse, I'm going James Hinchcliffe out of row 6.
Very fair. Do you need to support your decision, or you just know that you're an Andretti homer and that's the way it's going to go?
That's pretty much it.
Mike, you going to call the Ed Carpenter cars again? You're going to pick Elio.
I'm going to pick Elio.
He's when we set this rule so that you got to front 11. He's got to be your favorite. He's not your dark horse pick.
No, I'm going to go with Elio, and I'm going to go back with number 10. Alex Palou is my long shot.
He's starting top 11. That's invalid. Can't do it.
Got to pick somebody farther back than that.
You can't call a long shot from the second. Yeah, outside second row.
Yeah,
I don't think so, because I don't think he's where he should be.
He's in a Ganassi car. All 4 Ganassis are in the top 9.
All right, if I have to dark horse back further, then I'm going to go with Connor as well, because he is in a Carpenter car.
In a Carpenter car, that's pretty solid. All right, Zachary.
I'm just going to pull some around. I've been scrolling through here, just trying to see. So, trying to pick. I'll go Ed Carpenter for a favorite, although I like Tony Kanaan would be fantastic, and it would be great to rile the crowd up because he gets everybody going. And then, man, long shot, I'm trying to choose between. I'll go Juan Pablo Montoya.
The only driver in the field to choose chocolate milk.
Yes, he can't have it. I love that they posted that, but they'll only give you whole 2% or skim.
I would rather see Salt Walter.
I bet they told him, you can't do that. And he's like, it is what it is. It's probably what he said to him. He said, don't care. You're going to print it. And I was like, yeah, I like, well, he's won 40% of the Indy 500s he's entered.
Yeah, but he's not run that many.
I know, but it's still,
he's only run like 3.
That's staggering. But I think I think he'll be the class of that team, and they might be able to figure something out. But you said long shot. There's a long shot.
This feels like cheating. So Scott Dixon is my favorite. I truly think that something fluky has to happen for him. Something has to shuffle him out of.
Something's got to hit him, or something's going to have to break.
Something's got to break, or he's got to have a pit sequence that gets him out of that catches him wrong.
And I guarantee you that his car right now is in 1 million pieces, and it's being inspected for each and every piece for potential failure, and that some particularly looked over Honda engine is being thrown in that thing, and not just one off the shelf.
It violates the spirit of the rule to say a long shot would be Joseph Newgarden, because I don't think he's that doesn't work, but he's starting 21st.
Yeah, Penske's are a long shot this year.
But yeah, I would say Newgarden would be my long shot. If one of them is going to drive through, I think he or Pagano has the best shot at it.
I can't take Palou, but he can take Newgarden.
Yeah, but that's why I said it.
It's because Palou is in 6th, and he is a race winner.
He's already won a race this year.
Your favorite was starting behind your dark horse.
Yeah, it's the world according to Mike over here.
I mean, Palou is probably unlikely because he's so young, but
so was Montoya.
Yeah, but I could see with the right guy on his timing stand, and then
he's driving the 10 car, right? That's the one Dario Franchitti won with twice. And that's the car that Dan Weldon and the team Dan Weldon dominated the 2006 Indy 500 in.
Completely different car.
It's the same team, same guys, same. It's very consistent. It's the sought after seat.
Boo.
Hey, look, my bride has walked in the door.
Lovely Sarah Potter just rolled in, or Sarah Morrell.
Sarah Potter, Morrell.
Yeah,
either or. All right. The final thing I wanted to talk about with you guys is your race day traditions. It's a different year, and Mike, we've heard a little bit from Mike that he's still searching. You don't have seats, right? You got to find a place to be.
I have.
You're gonna have to settle for a suite somewhere.
I have seats. I just don't want to be in them. I'm still searching to try to get work for race day and be back to where I normally am. I have a very strict race routine. I have the same guy make my breakfast every year.
You drink the same Gatorade every morning.
Yeah, every morning. I do the same thing, and this is going to be different. Last year was different with Blake and I and Forrest with our nose against the fence looking in, and this year it's going to be different. I'm going to be inside, and I'm going to be a fan instead of a photographer. But we're working on it, and I made 3 more calls today, and it's just is what it is.
Blake, if your dad gets a photography gig, are you going to ditch him and go be a fan in turn 3?
Blake has
I've got a very good setup. I sit with Mark Morris on outside of turn 1. That is my favorite spot on the track. See him coming out of 4 right in front of you, making passes at 1 and into 2.
What's your morning look like? Your routine before you get to the seats?
I get to Morris's house at 6:45. And
man, that's sleeping in.
We head over. I have woken up at the 4 a.m.
He's sort of a Nancy.
I don't wake up at 4 a.m. to hear the bomb go off. Like, I get it's tradition, but like, you can leave at 7 and make it just fine.
All right, Forrest, what's the tradition look like for you? You're not allowed to park in your normal spot.
I know.
You've mentioned it to me every time I've seen you for the last 3 months.
It's the first time in 20 years or so that I'm having to park outside of the track, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I know how I felt.
You're visibly
the first
shook.
time. I didn't like it.
I'm not a fan, but fortunately, the Speedway was generous enough to give me a parking lot right behind my seats, so it's not bad. But one of my favorite traditions now, since I've been taking my daughter, is getting a picture with her, walking behind Tower Terrace, somewhere around the Pagoda, somewhere down near Gasoline Alley, race morning. And the first year, it wasn't anything planned, and it was something that my wife just took the picture. And now it's something I look forward to every year. And I know that with the post-high school career she wants to pursue, this could be my next to last race with her. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
It's an important one.
Yep.
Zach, I get to be a part of your tradition a little bit this year until you lose me somewhere along
Usually
the way.
I'm half asleep. A cannon goes off. I say, oop, gates are open, and I go back to bed. And then I eventually get up and we fix breakfast and sit around. And usually we regret not having fixed lunch because they pushed the race start back a couple of years ago. And then I shoot to be in the stands after God Bless America, but before Back Home Again, Indiana.
You're not going to wish ill on the dead, are you?
No, but I just was not a fan of Florence Henderson at the time. So my goal was to get up there right after she was done. So, and I still kind of do that, but it depended on how long it took to get through security.
So my tradition has been, since they started selling the infield parking passes, that I would buy myself an infield parking pass and line up and be parked on the road at 5 a.m. so that I could hear the bomb go off at 6 and hopefully have my little plot of ground claimed by 6:30 or 7 o'clock and have a morning party in the infield. Since
I walked over a couple times.
You have. Since they've taken that freedom away from us this year, and the viewing mounds and those parking lots are closed. I also had purchased camping, so I've been shifted into through the miracle of childbirth. I've been shifted into parking lot 6.
Very premium area we are in.
And I get to hang out with the Burcham family. But I have to schedule my departure slightly different from you guys because you're only walking to 4, and I got to walk all the way down to 3. So I got to leave like 10 minutes before you.
I'm in the short shoot.
I have to walk right across the street.
Yeah,
you're so rough.
Me too.
You're going to get 700 steps in, Forrest.
I know.
Yeah,
on race day.
That was my life the last couple of weeks because we were camped in 2, and it was right. Just walk in and walk right into the tunnel into the infield. I'm like, well, this isn't too bad. And we would truck it up to the E penthouse, but any extra walking I did was because I felt like it, not because I had to.
My timing, it's going to be all messed up this year because I always timed it to where I could walk from my parking spot and still walk across the track there at the south end of the pits. Well, without having that option this year, I don't know what time to go to my seats.
Yeah, it's
one of the most frustrating things this month is not being able to walk behind the pit lane at the south end of the track. It drives me up.
All of those seats are gone. You can't walk through that area.
And they're not using it for anything. They have flags and golf carts parked there. But I'm like,
it has worked into a nicer area for the drivers and crew that are on the south end of the track to be able to sneak through that area and get to the garage area.
Yeah, without
having to deal with any of us.
So my daughter was actually pissed Friday when we got to the track and we went to Gasoline Alley.
She had to spend so much time talking to me.
No, she was fine with that. When we got to Gasoline Alley and she could not go up the stairs there above the Gasoline Alley suites.
Yep.
That's also a killer view. And
you get to look right into Schmidt, Peterson, McLaren, and Foyt.
Yeah.
There's also a cool area right there where there's catwalks that go around because it's the gap between the buildings. And if you go to the front of that, you can see the front straightaway. But if they're hauling cars to and in and out of the pit lane, it frames them perfectly from above. You can look down, and those grandstands up there are nice. And they were closed all month, only to suite holders, which I didn't realize that you could go into a suite without a shirt on because there were many.
I couldn't believe how many
shirtless fans on top of the suites. I was like, these are the guys getting suite tickets, and I'm up here slumming it in the penthouse.
You got to call Mike.
Evidently. Yeah.
All right. This has been fun. I guess we do still need to do final thoughts. Give everybody a chance to address anything they forgot, anything that we need to plug. It's a cleanup session. Anything we have to correct on the record. Blake, you've been awesome as our interim fill-in producer this week. You're completing like this week. You're ready to take a walk, aren't you?
Next week.
Yeah.
Next Saturday or next Sunday. Pardon me. Yeah. Taking a nice little walk across the stage, getting a diploma. Never coming back to Newcastle, you know.
He'll run out of money the first week.
Nice.
Full brain drain. Nate Lamar is listening and weeping somewhere when you say this.
Yeah, but got a big walk coming up. Got my open house coming up.
Sectional baseball.
You need to watch out for those Ohio girls in college, though. One might try to snag you, and you'll never come back.
Hopefully, it's from Florida, but I would not complain. But
you're gonna find yourself accidentally living in Hamilton, Ohio.
I don't know about Hamilton. We're chilling.
Are you living in the dorms? To start out,
yeah, but I do not know which dorm. I do have my roommate. He's from Cincinnati. Never met him before, so
you are going to Hamilton.
No.
We'll start planning because I think the usual tradition there is that when you move into a house, they all name their houses.
Yeah. My sister's best friend played volleyball there, and her house was the Blue Moon. So, they're all named. I think it's pretty cool.
I had a friend who lived in the Winkin' Turkey.
Yeah.
The Winking Turkey.
The Winkin' Turkey. And they make
that sounds like it's unthemed.
And they have like he had like a nice wooden sign like made up that was painted and everything.
Yeah, they're all nicely painted.
It's not Ball State down there. It's different
not
world.
Ball State whatsoever.
Was it the Winking Turkey that got hit down here on 3?
No, it was Newcastle. It was before
that came up in my memories
that?
a couple days ago, and I had completely forgotten about it. That was such a highlight of my life.
My favorite thing was when I went by and there was a box of stovetop stuffing leaned against the memorial. That was
at Ball State they named my house too. It was called Puke-a-Lot.
Well, Blake, it's been awesome having you here, man.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks
2
for
years
pitching
running.
in. Yeah, 2 years in a row, 10 months. It's been 10 months since my last Indy 500. Forrest, what do we got to clean up, man?
Man, nothing to clean up. I'm looking forward to Sunday. Just happy to actually be in the stands. I don't care if I have to wear a mask or not. Happy to be out there continuing the tradition. As much as I enjoyed standing out on 16th Street with the McKowns last year, I prefer.
Did you get to ride with them, or is it just serendipitous y'all found each other?
Forrest, no offense to you, I hated it. That was just us standing out there. I wanted to be inside.
I watched it from Jeremiah's, but I got up that morning and went to Speedway and went on a run and took pictures as I ran around Speedway because I find Speedway a delightful little town to go visit. I ran around and just checked out people on 16th Street, checked out Georgetown.
I woke up that morning and I was just madder than hell. And it wasn't until thankfully Kelly looked at me and she's like, "You're a grump. Do you want to go to Speedway to watch the race?" Yes, I do. So we packed up the car and went.
That's very nice. I parked cars in my driveway. I spray painted a sign that said parking $10. Took some pictures. We made it full on Speedway in Newcastle. So we made it work. Mike, what do you say? If people need to buy a house or get on the application list to buy a house and be the first alternate starter in your list of
absolutely, yeah, because we're in carb day every day. It seems like. I guess my thing and my parting shot is, what if you were Roger Penske and you go spend bazillions of dollars on this and we hit a pandemic and you get nothing? Lose millions and millions of dollars, and every restroom is painted nice. Everything has been redone. Every sign has been redone. And, kudos to a guy that loves the sport.
Absolutely. The place looks phenomenal.
The golf course.
There's souvenirs in every seat. Take it home. Little red sticker.
The red sticker.
It says, do not stay here.
Do not use.
I wanted to try to pull one of those off, but I didn't know where I was going to stick it.
Take it. You don't have a cooler? What kind of fan are you?
I saw so many
I've
coolers.
Never carried a cooler in my life.
My kids nearly cleared out our little box of the penthouse all by themselves, and that
must have been where I sat on Friday because there were a lot of missing stickers.
We have stickers, and they come off real easy. And I don't know. I mean, Roger Penske bought the nice stickers. They come off very easily, leave no residue. They're like almost a static cling. They're so good. So, yeah, we have quite a few of those, too.
But, I mean, that just shows his love for the sport and his love of where it's at. I've never really been a Penske fan. I've always been on the other side with Andretti's, but the place does look good. The golf course looks good. The suites look good. I mean, he spent some jack and with no return. And to have the political Democratic mayor, all of that going on, it's just amazing to me.
If they had sold the track to anybody other than Roger Penske, I think it would have been in serious trouble navigating the pandemic.
Absolutely.
If it had gone to Liberty Media or any of the other rumored suitors, there would have been some serious issues. There would not have been a race in 2020. There would have been another gap year for certain.
I mean, he paid. There's I bet, I don't know how long I'm assuming it goes all the way around to the short chute at the south end. He basically put in a 2-lane road of asphalt the entire way around the track on the outside for cars and golf carts mostly. And then there's a sidewalk that's new, that's in concrete inside of that with rails in part of it. Yeah, then you go into every bath. Like the restrooms in the paddock were sketchy in past years.
They were dark cinder block.
Yeah, they were dark cinder block, and it looked like a bathroom that guys had built in an area that women weren't ever going to see, so they didn't have to take care of it. Like it was
long live the trough.
It was like they didn't have troughs in these, but it was like a bachelor,
it was like something you had found at a horse show.
And
Animal House.
Yeah.
And you go in there now, and
not a horse show, a horse show.
And epoxied the floors, paint on the walls, and then it's little things like all the dumpsters are new. Did you notice the dumpsters?
Yeah, and they have
brand spanking new dumpsters on. And I was like,
signage on all the trash cans.
I can't wait to buy those at Earl's in 20 years.
Yeah, let's get. Yeah,
I mean, my IMS raised trash dumpster
just like
at the auction.
Little things. So you kind of get when you see a Penske project on the scale of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you get an idea of how picky Roger Penske is, because you kind of see it with his teams, but you don't get to walk into the Penske garage.
I don't know that it's picky. It's more meticulous.
Yeah, well,
I mean, he just has it.
Yeah.
You hear Doug Bowles talk about it, and he said that he would open every door just to see what was on the other side of it. And he would keep going back until he was happy with what was behind that door. And then once he was satisfied, he wouldn't bother anymore. But he would go through it all.
The video and the audio updates that have been made along the front stretch underneath the penthouse seats.
It's amazing.
You have video boards everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the video boards when we first sat down.
You have to go up higher.
And I looked up, I was like, holy cow, where's those come from?
There's like 40 of those TVs on the front straightaway, because like every support post has a big TV. You can hear,
and it's not the old tin can sound. They're true speakers.
You can hear speakers.
You can hear almost all day.
We sat in the Northwest Vista.
You discovered
for the GP.
Alan Bistwick this year.
You can't get away from Dave Calabro.
But they brought us Alan Bestwick, and I'll take some Alan Bestwick because he's doing a fine job this year.
Until they had to explain qualifying.
Well, they didn't do that, but maybe they didn't explain it. Yeah, I'm still not happy with the explanation of that, but. Yeah, but we're at GP, and like you can hear the cars, you can hear the PA all the time. It's not. I'm like during the 500s, it's a little different when they go by, or for a pack of them go by. But the sound system is like state of the art. It's a current modern sound system, and you see TVs in areas that they're going to get used this year because they're in the infield. They may hopefully they'll get used for Brickyard weekend. But yeah, the TVs on the front straightaway. I was like, this is amazing. I bet this was an awful spot to sit at one point because you couldn't see anything. You kind of see half the Gasoline Alley TV, and now you have like 2 or 3 TVs that are completely legible in your field of view.
TVs in your
there was a long period of time that you didn't even have a TV.
Right. Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. And now there's bunches of TVs. So yeah, it's amazing.
What else, Zach? Anything else in your final thoughts? This is your official final thoughts.
No. Well, check out. I'm trying to think of just like local stuff, even though I've not been in town. I haven't spent the weekend at my own home in like a month.
You won't spend a night at your house
like 6 weeks
May
or something
on the weekend.
check out Food Truck Fridays downtown.
No, this Friday's Fourth Friday.
And then Fourth Fridays, so you check out Fourth Friday. So that'll be a good time downtown. They'll have some music, food trucks, stuff to do.
I heard they've got a Scaffy now. They've got one hired.
Yep. I bet I can go outside and tell the difference already. And then always go check out L&K. They're doing.
Carrie told me I couldn't just buy any flowers and put them out there, though. They're my problem.
Really?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Come on, Carrie. Check out L&K because they're doing like a little bit of like and the farmers markets going on downtown. And then they're doing their own thing at L&K where they're bringing in different vendors.
I think they have a different food truck in every Saturday, don't they?
Yeah. And so there's lots of stuff to do in Newcastle, too. Check it out.
Back to Alan Bestwick real quick. We can't leave without talking about the greatest announcer other than Tom Carnegie, Bob Jenkins, that's in the fight for his life right now with brain cancer. I saw the video that Calabro did with him this week. That's just absolutely heartbreaking. But wish Bob the best because he is a class act.
Yep.
He's been an old timer for an awfully long time.
One of my best childhood racing memories, Thursday Night Thunder, Bob Jenkins and Larry Rice.
Absolutely.
Yep. Bob's, as long as I've been a fan of motor racing, whether it's IndyCar or NASCAR, Bob's always been around it. That his voice is the OG voice of motorsports for me. So
yeah, let's hope for a similar result. Lindy Thaxton's going to be on the PA, I believe, this weekend at the track, and she's just coming back from. She was off work since like last June with cancer, so let's hope for a similar result for Bob. So.
This is the year I'm embracing the month of May and racing completely. I am going to be visiting Anderson Speedway tomorrow. They're practicing, so I'm going to go check out a little 500 practice. I don't have the crazy bones to come up Saturday night to Anderson to watch the little 5 the night before the race, but I am going to go watch the cars, practice tomorrow. Thursday night, I'm going to go out to Terre Haute and I'm going to watch Kyle Robbins on dirt.
Awesome.
In the USAC Silver Crowns.
You're not hitting up Mount Lawn?
Friday night, I'm going to go out to IRP and I'm going to watch the USF 2000 cars and the Silver Crown cars and the Pavement Midgets all at IRP for Carb Night. Saturday, I think I'm just going to take a day of rest. And then Sunday is the greatest race in the history of the world.
So no Mount Lawn is in your schedule.
So I do not have Mount Lawn on the list.
Well, I will tell you.
Blake McKown is about to buy a Neon and start racing.
Man, I will be on your crew. I'll help.
You can be a sponsor. I'm looking for him because somebody sitting on the other end of that table is not in favor of it. But I am full-heartedly about to buy a car.
We have stickers, and they will definitely go on a car.
You need to go full.
Let's do it.
Ed Carpenter runs the JMV Sucks sticker every year, and I feel like you need a BHOL sticker just stuck somewhere on a quarter panel.
We can make that happen.
I mean,
for the first time in history, the FC Tucker McKown team is sponsoring a Mount Lawn race car this year.
Really? Why is it not?
What class?
The Blake McKown special.
We are in the Crown Vics with Kaylee Atkinson.
All right.
Who came in second last weekend and won her heat race. Doing very, very well. Racing against the boys. So
very nice.
Blake and I have been
Blake
out there.
McKown in a Dodge Neon.
I mean, that is very Henry County of you to go for a Mopar product.
Do you still have the truck, Blake?
I still got the truck. It's sitting out front. So he won't let me do the street dragon. I'm about to take the new Corvette out there.
You need to go find a Neon ACR, same year, same color, comes with stripes. Tow it in with your truck, and that's the most Henry County thing that'll ever roll into the Mount
Let's
Lawn.
do it.
I've
got the support, Mike. I've got the support
with a Ram
You have
SST.
everything but the knowledge and cash at this point.
Have you ever been to Mount Lawn?
Have you ever seen the people that are racing out there? They don't have the knowledge either. Just put me in a car and I will go fast.
Just drive fast, turn left.
Yes.
That's all you got to do.
All right, I like it. I'm looking forward to sponsoring the McKown special in the Mopar division out there. With
number 29. We're going number 29.
Man, that's hinchy. We'll see you guys next Thursday night.
Thanks, guys.
The FC Tucker special.